tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. That is not my go-to line for procrastination, guys. Instead, it's from one of Macbeth's most famous speeches towards the end of the play in Act 5, Scene 5, right after Lady Macbeth commits suicide and right before Macbeth suffers defeat at the hands of Macduff. And so in this video, I'm going to be analysing the speech, so make sure you stick to the end to get all the good stuff. So the quote we're looking at is Macbeth's response to the news of his wife's death, which is iconic for both its nihilistic and stoic qualities. So here's the quote. "She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Now, what should immediately strike us about this speech is its measured and philosophical nature. It's almost as if Macbeth has seen this coming all along, and so in commenting on the inevitability of his wife's death, he is in essence preempting his own demise, which will soon arrive in Act 5, Scene 8, when he battles it out with Macduff at Dunsinane Castle. Now this brings us to our first stylistic point, which is on Shakespeare's use of temporal imagery in this speech. Note the words and phrases hereafter, would have been a time, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, day to day, recorded time, all our yesterdays, as well as struts and frets his hour. You notice that he alludes to the entire span of temporality, covering the past, the present, and the future. The word hereafter is especially interesting because as an adverb, it means from now on, but as a noun, it actually means life after death. So the line, "she would have died hereafter," could translate either into "she would have died eventually anyway," or imply that she would have died, but there is life after death. So is Macbeth comforting himself with the idea that his wife and himself will continue to live on in spirit even after they die? We see then that while Macbeth seems to have mentally checked out of mortal living, he is already projecting into a future beyond the mortal realm. His scope of ambition is no longer on the human level, which, granted, by this point has failed, but has instead transcended above and is already seeking an alternative domain. Now, another point that's worth mentioning are the metrical and rhythmic variations in this speech. Notice that it begins with an iambic rhythm, which is the predominant meter in Shakespearean plays, but it concludes in trochees. Now, as we can tell, the first two lines read, "She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word." Now contrast this with the final two lines in this speech, "told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Now this transition from a natural iambic, unstressed, stressed rhythm to a more forceful, trochaic, stressed, unstressed rhythm suggests that Macbeth, despite his obvious defeat at this point, is unwilling to back down, and that for all his nihilism towards life, he is determined to hold out till the very end of his struggle with power. This paradox of him realising that nothing in life really matters, but also wanting to make his mark in history, adds to the pathos we feel for the character. Because we see that this deeply flawed, tragic hero is nonetheless heroic, and characterised by a unique courage, which is misplaced, but still admirable. Notice as well that there are moments when anapestic rhythm seeps in to reinforce what's being said. Specifically, they are present in the lines, creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, as well as life's but a walking shadow, a poor player. Now, what impression does this faint da-da-da, da-da-da rhythm create? It conveys the sense of something sneaking up on you, just like the way the first two unstressed syllables inch and build towards the finality of the third stressed syllable in an anapest. And of course, this reflects precisely what Macbeth is saying here, that time is a sneaky gremlin which catches us unawares, and before we know it, we're babies turned adults turned old people facing imminent death. The sudden trochee of out, out, brief candle also carries a certain meta-dramatic quality, as the play nears its conclusion when all lights at the theatre will go out. This nicely sets us up for the analogy that will come in the following line, when Macbeth compares life to a play and man to an actor, the idea being that both plays and life are transient, and that both man and actor, however much they strut and fret in the glamour of the moment, will eventually return to dust. And this no doubt proves the best consolation for someone like Macbeth in his moment of existential and philosophical crisis. So there you go, guys, just another quick analysis on a super important Macbeth quote. I hope you enjoyed this, and if this was helpful, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to this channel for more useful English lit resources down the line. And I'll see you guys in the next video.